So let's first start with the array types. And let's start understanding the array types. So it's mainly about arrays at this moment, and each of the other types in detail we'll be taking as we go ahead, right? So first we look at the arrays. So starting, okay, let's make some comparisons with syntaxes in C for an array. Okay, because syntax wise some similarity but not exactly same. Fine, there are differences for arrays. Okay, at least for the allocation part. So I'll put first initially how it is done in C. Okay, and then we'll make a comparison. So we have, let's say for example, int. If I want an array of integer, fine, I must specify the size. Okay, how do we declare? Int, let's say a, fine, fine, it's something like this, fine. Now this is not going to be valid in Java, and this is not valid in Java. For Java, okay, you have, see, there is a more logical way of specifying this. In Java you will have, okay, so that's for C language, okay, not for Java. For Java, if you want exactly similar concept, okay, it would be like this, int. Now you can say I want a variable a which is of type array of integers. Int is a type, you can use square brackets and declare a new type which is the array type. So I have a variable of type array of integers. You have a variable a, fine, but this is not having any object. And this is just a declaration of a reference. What is a here? A reference. Reference to what? Object of an array. Object of a integer array. When something which is of type integer array. Okay, so if I want, I can make an assignment and allocate an array. Allocation would be done separately. So we can allocate by using a new operator. We have an operator called new. New, specify the type and then in square bracket put the size. And this can be anything, fine, it can be any integer type. Fine, we have used a literal 5, but there it could be any integer type, integer expression. Okay, so what results from this? And what's the result of doing this? It results in, first thing, yes, we have a reference called a. That's a. And then this part is allocating an object. So we have an object which has got 5 integers and assigning. So this is when we say new int 5, oh, that's this one. And when we are saying a equals this, okay, a refers to this. Fine. Okay, so in this Yeah, so we have, what do we have here? 5 integers, okay, and each of those integers is available as a of 0, right? The way you write it, a0, this is a1. So yes, it's the syntax wise accessing those members of the array is same. Okay, so arrays are objects. Fine. Objects having a sequence of values of the same type. Okay. And they have a fixed size. Fine. Now I can always use a dot length, not a method, okay, just say a dot length, not as a method. Fine. A dot length, it will always tell me how many elements are there in the array referred by A. A refers to some array object. In that case, it tells me how many objects are there in the array referred by A. Okay, another syntax for array which is also available earlier, fine, is something like this. I could have done int array a equals, and we can have array constants. Now one more point was, okay, what will be the initial values for a0, a1 and so on? They would be zeros. Fine, they will be zeros for array of integers. Integer values, whenever a new, how have we allocated? By using the new keyword. Whenever we are using new keyword for allocating, fine, the default values will be zeros for numeric types. It would be false for the Boolean type. Fine, it would be null for the reference type. Yes, we'll have array of references also. Array of a reference type. We'll have array of references. And we'll see that. Okay, clear? So default values, if you are allocating using new, the elements will get default values of zeros for all the numeric types. Fine. Null character in case of char type. Fine. Byte, short, int, long, float, double, they all get zeros. Array of any of those type. Okay, other syntax for specifying an array. Something like this. That's also valid. Fine. So you can even break the earlier case. For example, yes, when we said int array a equals new int 5, it could have been broken into 2 steps also. You could have done int array a semicolon and then a equals new int 5. That's also valid. And a equals new, after having a equals new int 5, later you might say, oh, a equals something else. It refers to a different object. Fine, it would be a different object. If I make an assignment, I am having a different object. With reference type, assignment means you are going for a different object. Fine, it's not updating the earlier one, okay?
So,
yeah.
What is the difference between these two? New and the
Directly, in this case, it has allocated, fine, this is an object.
Both are same?
Yes, both same in what sense? This is allocating a new one with all zeros. This is allocating, and this is having, this is something with the compiler at the compile time itself, it has decided, right? But this is something which is allocated at runtime because new is to be used. Okay. Fine, so allocating arrays, Initial values for integer types, numeric types, zeros. Okay, fine. Length, fine, that is applicable to any array. Fine, length is applicable to any array. Fine, so and fine, you can assign values. You can say a0 equal to something, a1 equal to something. You can fill values in that array the way you do in C also. Okay, fine. So now let's look at array of a reference type. Let's say we go for array of a string. Fine. So we say string array A, let's say, equals, now you are using new, let's say new string 5. Yeah, what would happen when I say string array A equals new int 5, sorry, new string 5? I can't use int there. Fine, I can't assign array of integer to a type of string array. A is of type string array, and therefore this has to be of type string array. So what's happening? Yes, we have space for A, then this is nothing but allocation of an object. What is there in this object? 5 what? References. It's not string objects. Fine. It's not allocating a string object. It's allocating string is of type reference, and therefore it will be 5 references which are allocated. Okay, fine. So what you get here is an array containing 5 references, and A refers to that. Suppose someone says A of 0 equals hello, right? A0 equals hello. It would mean you have an object of string which says hello, and A0 refers here. Fine. So when we say new and specify a reference type, new array for a reference type, it's the references which would be allocated. Fine, clear? And so things different from C++, right? These are very basic differences. Okay. So Java and C++ completely different. Syntax wise, most of the places they look similar, but things are different. And no pointers here in Java. We have references, which is safe basically. These references are very safe. References, they can't, it's not, you can just manipulate to whatever you like. Okay. The kind of assignment which is allowed is restricted. And supertype subtype relationships, they have to be managed whenever you make an assignment, and they'll have to be seen. Okay, anyway, so fine, and each one A1, A2, A3 assigned something, and that is going to refer to a different object, so they can have all different objects. Fine. And also if someone says A of 1 equals, again he puts hello, suppose, what do you think should happen? Suppose someone says A of 1 equals hello, what should happen? So you don't have one more hello object, okay? These are constants. These are string constants. These string constants would be recognized by the compiler itself. When you have anything in double quotes, they are string constants, and they are seen by the compiler. It makes a separate pool of string constants. Okay, so if I have already got one constant, which is hello, it won't allocate one more object for the hello. And wherever needed, okay, you have that object. So if I say a1 equals hello, there's already hello, I'll have this one also refer to the same object. Fine. And then you think that, oh, what if some a0 dot something is some operation is done on that string object? Would it not affect what is available to a1? Okay, but that is not going to happen for string type. This string is a special thing. String objects are immutable. String objects are immutable. What it means? If this is a string which is made up of these letters, hello, right? There's nothing which can change that in the object. You can't change any character in that string. The composition of that object is going to remain unchanged. String objects are always immutable, non-changing. You can have a different object, a0 can refer to a different object. Fine, that's different. It's not the object which is being changed. You may have a different object referred from the particular variable. Fine. But for a given string object, no changes can be done. When it was allocated, when it was created with a particular sequence of characters, that's going to remain. Okay, that's unchanging. Okay, and therefore it's fine to have a pool of string and where we don't duplicate anything, and we don't need to allocate one more, and it can be shared now because it's unchanging. Right? So clear, this string pool, we call it as a string pool. Right? So we have a string pool. Okay, that's special thing about strings. Okay, string constants.